Hello and welcome back to our live show. We are here for day 2 of our post show.
It was quite a discussion.
Asif looks befuddled. Anyway,
This is Mike.
This is our casual, loose.
Mike.
Yeah, okay.
Greg
this is our.
I'm never on the show. I get to be on the show today.
You can tell we have been derailed in record time by
and
Greg.
Our live views are dropping.
No, stick around. We're going to give away a T-shirt.
70 and 0. Okay, we can all go home.
We will give away a T-shirt at some point.
I brought
I
a
will ask
Destiny
a trivia
2
question.
T-shirt to add to the swag. So.
There you go. We'll give away 2 T-shirts.
It's day 2.
Bam.
2 T-shirts.
That does not mean on day 3 we'll give 3 T-shirts.
No, it doesn't. This is not a press.
So we're back. It's day 2. We don't have like a press conference to recap this time, like we did the last several days.
Let's recap all 6 of them.
The last 40 days that we had to recap press conferences. No, today it's just games that we played, things that we saw.
Yes.
Which, that's a refreshing change of pace, everyone. So, Asif already kind of touched on Mario yesterday. I also saw Mario today, and Greg, you saw Mario, didn't
Yes.
you? Yeah.
It's a throwback. It's great.
I haven't
Everyone
seen
here
it.
except for David
I haven't seen
has
Mario.
You
seen
expect it to be
Mario.
bad? I mean, people expect it to be bad. Like, they hope it's bad. And it's like, no, it's amazing. Sorry.
And
Well, tell me about
Yeah, what are
Mario.
you gonna do?
That's obviously, what do you want to know, David? That's obviously like one of the biggest things. Cross talk, David. Greg. Anyway.
I'm going to kill Steve.
Okay. This is making for a terrible podcast. This is going to be a terrible podcast. Anyway.
It's good TV though.
Okay. We've seen
I
Mario.
don't know if you noticed, there's an
there's a
adorable
dog.
white fluffy dog on our stream right now.
Yeah.
What is happening? Oh, my God. Who's holding the camera?
Look how beautiful that dog is.
I don't think anyone listening can tell that there's a dog.
But
watching, though.
Live
If
streaming
only
right
they
now.
could see.
So, I'm sorry if the Chattycast has to deal with the live streaming.
Is this actually on the stream? Are we
Yeah.
just streaming a video of
It's
a
on the
dog?
stream.
That's what we're doing for our stream.
I bet we have like 5x the viewers with this.
We just shot up to number 1.
That dog is just awesome.
I think we need more headshots of the dog.
Why can he bring her
less,
here, but
less
you
butt
can't bring
shots,
Lola
more
here?
headshots.
Yeah.
Service animal. I need to
Okay.
get her a service tag.
Service animal. That's
Buy
fine.
the vest for
Yeah.
$20 on Amazon.
I know, but then I have to fly across the country with the dog too.
That's true. This is
With
true.
Lola, with the vice
I heard-
president of
yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
at
Vice
Shacknews.
president.
Inside a little
Welcome
bag.
to the Lola Cast.
Inside a tiny
The only
bag.
cast for the dog
Here's-
runs the show.
I've got an idea, guys. What if we talk about Mario while there's a cute dog on the
That's a
screen?
good idea.
Did anyone get the Mario hat? Because they're getting out a cool Mario hat. Did you get one,
They,
Steve?
Asif got one yesterday.
Nice. Yeah, I saw you got one. But
I got none. I got nothing.
They said no.
I mean, they didn't say anything. I didn't ask for one. But they didn't give me one.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but it's cool, but like it's cool swag. It's memorable swag.
It's a cool hat. It's got eyes on it.
David, how was Mario?
It's got actual human eyes.
Give me that.
About the same as Resident Evil 2, as far as I know.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I like Mario.
Mario has so many outfits in this game, and there are different currencies in each world.
It's like Dapper Day in
Every
Donk City.
kingdom, just like real kingdoms, every kingdom has its own currency. So in the city, there's like these purple coins with, as far as I can tell, Mayor Pauline's profile on them. And in the desert, there's like little triangle coins, and those are only good in shops in that area.
Also with Pauline's profile?
No. Pauline isn't like
Her influence doesn't
the
extend
emperor
to
of the
desert?
world.
No, she's mayor of New
She's
Donk
mayor
City.
of New Donk City.
Okay.
Yeah. So at any rate, I played quite a bit of a desert world. Here's something that I want to talk about Mario real quick. Nintendo is so good at teaching you things without tutorials.
Yep.
Because there's a point in the desert world where a bullet bill comes straight at you, and instinctively I press the throw my hat to get rid of it button, and then it went like whoosh, 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 I'm a bullet bill. That's like their little way of teaching you,
stole
like,
that bullet bill's soul.
yeah, I stole his soul.
You possessed him.
But like
Possess.
that's their clever way of like, hey, you can possess things,
Yeah.
or whatever they're gonna call it,
That-
some cutesy name,
that-
without actually saying like, hey Mario, if you blah 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 blah, you know.
That philosophy dates back to World 1-1.
Yep.
Yeah.
The very
Goomba.
first screen
Yeah.
is basically a tutorial for the whole game.
So when I got to that part, it just made me so happy to like see that design philosophy continuing. So I played quite a bit of the desert. I got like maybe 5 or so moons. Those are the things you collect. They power his ship, which is called the Odyssey.
So are the moons kind of like stars or
Yeah.
They're like
shines
shine
then?
sprites.
There's like
Okay.
the level that I played, it seemed like there was one in particular that I was supposed to be going for that was connected to a boss. but I didn't get to him because I was just going around collecting other ones.
Okay.
So,
It's very, like we all said, it's very Mario 64 because these worlds are huge. Like they're much bigger than the 64 levels, but it's more Banjo-Kazooie. Honestly, it's a giant world, and you can kind of do multiple.
you just
things
collect a
to
bunch
get-
of things.
Yeah.
Except it's better designed than Banjo-Kazooie.
How dare you? No, I'm just kidding.
Like I will say I had a little trouble getting a hang of things for like the first 5 minutes. It's not like it was a long time, but there's a lot of stuff you can do. That like you can do your normal jumps where there's the triple jump, there's the long jump, all that stuff. You can also throw your hat. Once you've thrown your hat, you can springboard off of it. You can also, while your hat is out there, you can like use the Joy-Con motion controls to like make it do different things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when the hat is on your head, you can use the Joy-Con to like do different moves. So like there's a lot of stuff to do.
So, I mean, these E3 demos like take place like X minutes or hours into the
Yeah.
game, so you kind of always.
This
run
was
into-
maybe like a 10-minute. I think it was 10 minutes, and then I did both parts of the demo. I did the desert and the city.
Well, I
So
bring
was
it
10
up
minutes, 10
because
minutes.
like that's kind of Nintendo's design philosophy now. Like Breath of the Wild, which dates back to the original Zelda, they just kind of throw you in. Do you think that Mario Odyssey would be like that? They just kind of throw you in and you'll pick up on things?
Yeah, I think probably. I don't think they're going to be like, here's how you do this, blah, blah, blah,
No,
blah,
I feel
blah.
like anyone at Nintendo who suggests or says the word tutorial is probably shown
It's
the door.
fired
Yeah.
out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't last.
Cannon possessed by Miyamoto.
So I
Have a
played the desert
conversation
level,
over here.
then I played the New Donk City level. New Donk City, I went to a hat shop. They pointed me in the direction of a hat shop or a clothing shop. It's called like Crazy Caps or something. And I bought a snazzy like fedora and black suit.
Dapper.
It was pretty great. And
So, are there more outfits, or because it seems the trailers seem to put the emphasis on hats? Like, do the hats determine?
There's
the Constable Mario,
yeah.
and then the Dapper Mario.
There's outfits that actually have gameplay effects. Like the desert one is better for the desert somehow, like the safari one. Also, there was a builder one for sale, like in Mario Maker, like the little construction helmet he wore.
Yeah.
Well, that's just trolling at this
Yeah,
point.
they're messing with Awesome. So all of them are like little references to something Mario has worn in like some marketing material or something.
I like that continuity from Mario game to
Yeah.
Mario game, though.
So then I went. They teased. They said Captain Toad is hidden somewhere in New Donk City. Can you find him? And I was like, well, now I need to do that. Like I don't even care what else the objective
Steve
is.
dropped
I need to go find
everything.
I dropped everything. I was like,
He was
I
like
need
in
to
the
find
middle
Captain-
of a quest that
need to
Mayor
find Captain
Pauline
Toad.
sent him on. He's like, whatever about your
They were- yeah,
concert, lady.
they were like,
I gotta go find
Paul-
Captain
yeah,
Toad.
Mayor Pauline was like, we need musicians. I'm like, fuck you, lady. I need to find Captain Toad.
Captain
Yeah.
Toad.
And then I didn't. The demo ended because it was a time demo. It ended automatically after 10 minutes. And they were like, you were really close. He was around that that girder. And I was like, you sons of bitches.
I wonder if this is a hazard of living in New Donk City. Like someone goes missing and you report it, and Pauline's like, "Oh, hey, let's make a mini game out of it. Who can find it?"
Like, no, they're not like missing. They're
They're
just
just-
on the side
they're
of the
just
street jamming.
Hanging around in the city. Yeah,
There's
I
like
found
a drummer on the
What,
corner.
what about Captain Toad was missing?
Captain Toad was, well, I don't know if he
Mario
was
was
missing
missing.
necessarily.
Oh, Mario was missing
The lady
found
said, can you find Captain Toad? He's somewhere in this level.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not like he was missing.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did not find him. I assume he gives you coins or maybe a nice hat. I don't know.
Sure.
Mushroom hat, that'd be nice.
Hats are the currency of the land.
Hats, yeah. Hats, they're big this year. So Mario Odyssey, here's my final impressions. Holy crap, it's going to be hard to decide game of the year. I know that's premature because I've only played like 20 minutes of it. But a new Mario game is saying something, and this looks like a good one. And also we have a new Zelda game.
Yeah, I think we brought this up maybe on yesterday's post show. This is the first time a new Zelda game and a new Mario game have launched in the same year.
Yep.
Which is causing Nintendo fans everywhere to go into the paroxysms of indecision.
Good on Nintendo for
Good on
for
Nintendo, yeah.
listening to us finally
stacking
and
the deck.
creating software for their system.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
They used to
really
do
proud
that.
of them for this. Like
They used to
this
do
is
that.
a huge achievement for them. And
Like
then on top of that, to have Mario and the Rabbids coming out.
Yeah,
You know, and like
which is also very good. You played Mario and
I
Rabbids.
played that just now.
But I want to get your impressions of Mario plus Rabbids, but before I do, I just want to say real quick, my impression of Mario Odyssey so far, we were talking about it on this on the way back, is that it's a very good, cool gimmick for a Mario game, and it's a good Mario game. I feel like so far, my impression is that Zelda inches it out by being like a game changer.
Yeah.
You know, by
I just
being.
wonder though, because historically, if you just look at sales of units, Mario is a much bigger franchise than Zelda.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
and if
outsell
there
it.
are a lot of Switches out there by December. all of them buy Mario, and all of them already have Zelda. It's going to be like a Sophie's Choice. For
Nintendo stock is going to go up real nice. That's what we're saying.
I think that's a good point. I think that
Probably.
we could really get down to the nitty gritty because they're both open world games. But I feel like in the same way that Ocarina of Time, like one of Ocarina of Time's big influences, which was the best Zelda game, by the way, Steve,
it's the best Zelda game. I agree.
They're wrong, but I don't have time to get into this.
Best Zelda game, I agree.
This guy's like bigger flip-flopper than any politician in history.
No, Ocarina of Time is one of its major influences, besides for its time, its open world, was the Z targeting. It solved the problem of how do we, how players lock on to enemies.
Sure.
And it influenced every game, every 3D game that came after it. And I feel like Breath of the Wild is going to do that for open world game design, which is kind of
world.
Breath of the World, Breath of the Open
Breath
World Wild.
of the World.
Breath of the Wild Open World.
Not confirmed.
No, but I think that Breath of the Wild is going to have major ripple effects on open world game design and game design in general for years
This
to
is
come.
a discussion that we're definitely going to return to many times, and we're going to yell at each other. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
We need to get through a lot of impressions because I know we all played quite a few games, especially Greg, who wasn't even on the podcast yesterday. But Asif, Mario plus Rabbids, legit?
Too legit.
Legit is a strong word. Bizarre.
I didn't realize that was a strong word.
Bizarre, adorable, really solid gameplay, and fun.
Yeah.
That would be my quick take.
I was watching your reaction when you realized you could go up, slide kick, then go back and still shoot.
I was very happy about that.
Yeah. It's pretty rad when you realize that.
And the whole pipe system that they have set up there. Oh man, the Mario universe
That's a great use of that.
It lends itself so well to XCOM.
Who would have thought? Ubisoft, apparently.
It's gonna be hilarious. Yeah.
We've got like an embarrassment of riches on Switch this year. We've got Zelda, Mario plus Rabbids. Plus like a billion indie and Japanese games.
While we're still on Nintendo and we're on the Chattycast here, I met Ahmad from Shacknews today. Serpico74 stopped by the booth. I just wanted to shout out to him. Yeah,
that's cool.
It's very rare to meet a Shack mod in person.
Is a good mod. He's also one of our most prolific posters, and he's a Nintendo fan as well.
And that's why I brought him up.
Super
he's
fan.
a huge Nintendo fan, and I think he was also excited about Rabbids and Odyssey. But I got to play Odyssey again while you were doing
Fire Emblem Warriors. I don't have to say that much about Fire Emblem Warriors. It's Fire Emblem. It's
Hyrule Warriors.
It's a Warriors game again, but Fire Emblem's art style is real nice. It lends itself nicely to that. And also Fire Emblem has a billion characters.
Those two things make it the perfect candidate for this kind of Dynasty Warriors style of game.
Yeah.
And it's basically like a souped up, better art style Hyrule Warriors.
You're doing things that are all you're doing is hitting the attack button and people are just flying back, and it feels awesome every time. It's the weirdest thing. They figured out a way into our they hacked our lizard brains to be this feels great because you're not really doing anything difficult, but it looks rad.
Is there going to be permadeath since it's Fire Emblem?
No, I don't. I doubt it. It's that would be messed up.
I mean, they've got a billion characters, and most of the enemies in Dynasty Warrior games tend to just kind of stand around anyway, so I don't feel like you suffer that many losses. I don't know.
Never played a Fire Emblem game. Never got into it.
You never played a Fire Emblem game?
No.
A Fire Emblem.
I didn't know who they were until they put them in Smash Brothers Melee.
It's not for everybody. Yeah, I didn't either.
Smash Brothers was actually a huge gateway. If you look at, I think this says it on.
That's true.
Wikipedia
It was a gateway.
I did not know the Fire Emblem characters until Smash Brothers either. But since then, I've gotten into it. Awakening, I think, was my first real Fire Emblem. Who else has games to talk about?
I saw a ton of
Greg,
stuff.
you saw a ton of stuff.
So, Shadow of War, amazing. I mean, that game, they've improved so much based on it. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to say there.
We also have an interview for that up at shacknews.com.
Yeah, so check that out. And there'll be a video for that on Shacknews/GamerHub probably tomorrow as well.
Okay.
So look at that too. Dragon Ball Z Fighters, amazing game, but of course it's in pre-alpha. They barely pulled it together for the show, I found out.
I saw a little of that, not in trailer cut form, just people playing it. And holy shit.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
But you flipped out when they announced that. That looked like it was going to be your game of show.
It feels like Marvel, because it's been years since we had a 2D Dragon Ball Z fighting game. The last one we have is Budokai 3, and it was really clunky. And after that, they went 3D, and then they're like, they're oversimplified. This thing is really fun, and it plays like MVC 2 and MVC 3, where you're launching, doing combos, lots of stuff happening on screen. You don't know what's happening. That's half the fun. You're like, what's happening? Oh my God, this is amazing. But I'd just say the thing that I was most interested in was, you guys remember a little game called Hunt, Horrors of the Gilded Age? 2 years ago they showed it here and it looked amazing. It was like a Left 4 Dead Lovecraftian 18th century survival game.
Oh.
right? It's a 4-player co-op where you have to go through a level, kill zombies, and fight a boss. Well, it disappeared off the radar for a long time. And everyone's like, oh, it's canceled. And it's one of our biggest viewed videos on GamerHub TV, by the way, also. It's got like 500,000 hits. So today I saw what happened to it. They actually brought it back. It's called Hunt.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I wrote up that news story like a week
So
or
it's
two ago.
called
Yeah.
Hunt, and it's a 2v2, v2, v2, v2 versus monster game. And it's really interesting.
Sounds like all those twos need to put aside their differences.
So you play...
Yeah, I mean, you should try to take down the monster first.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, you play in teams of 2, and they said that they're still fooling around with the numbers. It could be 3, could be 4, but right now they're fooling around with 2. And you fight 5 other teams, and the object is to try to kill the monster and like banish it. So it's supernatural. They unfortunately went out of Lovecraftian era and did like a more like Western feel, which is kind of bummed. But they still have zombies and like giant spiders and stuff, which is kind of cool. So it's very supernatural. Your goal is that you're put in this huge map and everything's randomized except the map. The map is stagnant, but everything else is procedurally generated, like the supply drops and the enemies. And you have to find this boss, kill it, banish it with a spell, which takes time. It's like defending a point, and then escape, and then you get points. But it's the meta behind it of like, do I engage this other team? Do I ignore them? Do I follow them? Do I let these people take out the monster and then kill them afterwards, and then take the banishing spell and try to banish it myself? It's really it's tactile. It's still very survivalish. Ammo is scarce. It's not run and gun. You only have limited amount of ammo the entire match. You can't waste it. The zombies looked great. The only thing that unfortunately has it not going for it is its CryEngine. And CryEngine is very, very, like, you have to have a really powerful machine to run
it's
that.
demanding. I think the original Crysis still pushes machines more than a lot of like
It is,
contemporary
and I mean,
games.
the thing is, and the game looks gorgeous, but in the demo today, there was so much slowdown, and these guys are probably playing it on like a $5,000 processing machine.
That has a lot to do with the optimization of CryEngine. I mean, because David's right. If you run original Crysis, it still chugs on like 980s.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, that's the only thing that hurts it, but the game looked absolutely phenomenal. Like, I mean, there's nothing else like it. I mean, I would describe it like, Evolve but fun.
Wow.
That's how I would describe it, basically.
Little twist in the knife in that compliment there.
I wanted to like that game, dude. I was a supporter of that game. Okay, sorry. Austin, what did you see today?
My first appointment of the day was a VR appointment with Servios, and it was Sprint Vector.
Yeah, you're jumping and flying.
Oh my God, what a great game!
Like, don't hit the crystals. Like, it gives me points when I hit the crystals.
No, it's just a checkpoint. Yeah. So no, I tried out Servios. They're actually going to be here tomorrow for an interview. They really have found a new way to do locomotion in VR,
Yes, they have.
and they've created a racer with it. So you can do 1v1 racing through. It's almost like a Mirror's Edge kind of feel to it.
Kind of like parkour.
Yeah, not like off of walls or anything.
Okay.
But so they have you running, and you do it basically by putting your hand as far as you can in front, holding the trigger, and then throwing it backwards and letting go of the trigger. And you have to do that repeatedly. But if you think about how a runner runs,
Yeah.
you do that with your arms when you're running anyway. So it feels very natural.
So are you running in place?
Yes.
Okay.
You're not even, your feet aren't moving because there's no foot presence.
But they do have the tracker, and they mentioned that they're really looking into that. The tracker, the HTC Vive tracker.
Yeah, but this is, I think, it solves that thing where you're not going to have some Omni treadmill that you're tripping over yourself over for foot presence. This is going to give you a way to exercise, right? Because I was sweating after this demo, and really, I think, make a logical way for locomotion that isn't teleport based, that isn't thumbstick based, you know. And they did little things like, you know, you press in the pad to jump. They had pickups like in a Mario Kart game with different power.
Nitro.
Yeah. So you go super fast. They have visual cues to let you know when you're going as fast as you possibly can. There were turbo pickups. There's all sorts of really cool things that you could do in the game.
I just felt like, you know, Dance Dance Revolution became almost as much an exercise utility as a video game. Do you see that possibility for this game as well?
I see that possibility for all VR. I think
it's kind of untapped.
Yeah, rim scale VR is going to lend to exercise. One of our good friends who's not here this year, Josh Hawkins, we were talking about it, like VR sports, different games that are out there that you can actually exercise in VR. You can burn calories. I mean, I'm wearing an Apple Watch. It tracks my calories burned. that game registered as exercise on my Apple Watch.
Increases heart rate.
It
Increases heart rate.
definitely increased my heart rate, and it was fun, man. Like it's not just running in a straight line. There's you get up to a wall and there's pegs in it. You grab the peg and you throw yourself down. You can really, it's a logical means of locomotion. You feel like there's a cause and effect, and it was super cool. That was my first demo of the day.
Was that on Rift?
No, there's nothing on Rift anymore. Oculus is pretty much dead.
Wow. All right.
Hey, we should be in the shadows of the Oculus booth right now.
We were going to be, I think. Yeah. I think that was the plan early.
They decided not to.
Call us, Palmer. We worry.
Yeah, Palmer, hit us up.
He's not with Oculus anymore.
No, he's not.
Speaking of VR, I actually have a VR.
What's going on?
I actually have a VR experience to talk about real quick.
You do?
Yes, very quickly. I just had a short break today, and I heard somebody talk about it on social media, so I was like, I'm going to go check it out, because I already had my PlayStation wristband from an appointment.
Transference?
No. I already had a PlayStation wristband, and I had seen it in the PlayStation Lounge, because they just have, for media, if you're waiting for an appointment or if you just got out of an appointment, they have, some games that are, smaller that you can just try out in the sort of PlayStation media area. So I went back there. I already had my wristband. I was like, I'll just go in there and see if anybody's on it, and I'll try it out. It's this game called Star Child, and I don't know if it's a PlayStation VR exclusive or anything, but it's a side-scrolling kind of Metroid-y platformer, but your vision is the camera, so you can if you want to get a closer look at something, you can lean in and see a nice close look. So when they had a very famous ship land, they were like, oh, you should lean in and take a closer look at the ship. So I went like this, and then as the hatch started to open, I sort of went like this, and I actually saw her before it would have let me see her.
Was it a seated experience or standing?
It was seated, yeah. Because it controls just like a regular, Metroid-like platformer.
So you had a DualShock in your hands?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at one point, it's a seated platformer. It's like Metroid, but I think the VR actually adds to it, because at one point there's this large creature that is watching her in a menacing way. And so for the rest of the VR demo, I'm doing this, looking forward, because you can see all the way down this hallway towards the rest of the platforming stage. Mm-hmm. So the rest of the time I'm looking down it to see I know that fucker is around here somewhere. It's gonna sneak up on me. It's gonna happen. And so the demo ends with that thing coming up from behind you and almost attacking her, and then this giant mech robot that she just revived puts its hand down, stops the thing, flings it away, and then that's where the demo ends. So presumably the mech robot is a big part of the game. But it was a cool little immersive thing. I hadn't really seen something like that. I don't have as much VR experience as you, Asif, but I hadn't really seen VR used. I know there was Lucky's Tale, which was a 3D platformer, but this was a 2D plane, like a Metroid game that just you can get a closer look, or you can zoom the camera back by just kind of moving back.
That's interesting.
It was cool.
Yeah, no, I want to get hands on Transference before the show ends.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. I was just reading from Upload VR, David Jagano. He was writing about how this game's going to give you PTSD.
Okay, no thanks.
And I was like, well,
it's not a good tagline.
I was like, I still want to try it.
This game will give you a serious illness.
No, I saw a little bit. We weren't allowed to take pictures at the Ubisoft event, but they were playing it there, and I didn't play it because
that's the game that they got Frodo
Elijah
Baggins
Wood.
To advertise.
Frodo Baggins.
Yeah.
The guy from Radio Flyer. Come on. Come on.
Yeah. So no, they're in the chat. They're asking about my comments on Oculus. They're not gone, but they certainly aren't here. And talking to VR developers here, I heard the words PSVR, and I heard the words HTC Vive.
Ditto here. I've been HTC Vive and PSVR.
And,
this summer.
And they're like, yeah, maybe we'll do something on other platforms. They don't even refer to Oculus by name. Yep. I think Oculus is in big trouble, guys.
Yep. That's too bad.
Yep. And I really respect the work they've done. I think they were pioneers at a certain point.
Yeah.
But it looks like some other companies are taking the baton right now.
If or when John Carmack leaves, that's when you know.
If he goes to SpaceX, that's game over for Oculus.
Yeah, but see, game over. That's appropriate, right? Because do you think that Oculus is done in games, or do you still think Facebook has VR applications?
I think they're still very interested in using it as a social platform.
Mark Zuckerberg cares a lot about VR and AR and the technology that drives it. I just don't think when you have your CEO step down like Brendan Arib did and go into being in charge of PC and then completely disappear, and you have the founder Palmer leave, what's really the value of that brand? What's a more valuable brand, guys? Facebook or Oculus?
Well, he was kicked out.
No, he left.
Oh, I thought
he was basically forced to do nothing in a basement at Oculus, so he decided to leave. But yeah, I think when you have this brand, and before all of the memes and before everything else he did, Palmer was known as really the face of VR.
Yeah.
So when you go from that to where they are today, I worry that.
Do you think, this is probably a much larger discussion for another time, but do you think all that stuff that happened with Palmer hurt VR itself, not just Oculus? Do you think it hurt something?
I think it just hurt Oculus.
Okay.
Because HTC Vive is still doing well. PSVR sold 1 million units. Not like that's anything great. Even the executive said, yeah, we sold 1 million units, so what? Yeah. That's just not enough to be a big deal to their revenue.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to hurt VR. I think that it hurts Oculus.
Yeah.
It hurts Oculus. To a lesser extent, it hurts Facebook because they were the ones that acquired that company. Didn't do the due diligence. If you're getting hit with a $500 million lawsuit because of a failed NDA, you should know about that before you buy something for $3 billion. And I feel like that's on Zuckerberg. That's on his team. You can't blame Palmer and Brendan for even saying that. They might not even known at the time that they had broken that NDA. It may not have even been in their head.
Right.
Yeah.
I think my prediction is Oculus eventually becomes Facebook VR.
Yeah, sure. Rebranding into Facebook VR. Because
they're
I said,
already
it's a bigger brand.
on that path. At every Oculus event, they show and here's our latest iteration of the social thing, when they have the little avatars and blah blah.
I mean, and there's VR here. Like I'm not saying VR is not dead. It's definitely not dead. But it's not as much
Compared
of a presence
to
as it was
year.
last year. And I kind of related to like CES, where one year we saw 3D TVs and nothing else.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just it peaked, and now it's leveling out, and then we're gonna see who lasts.
We had a story we ran earlier this year that VR venture capital funding was down 80% year over year.
Yeah.
And that was largely due to Magic Leap, but also just talking to other companies here. Yeah, the VC money has dried up for VR. Well, it's because the return on investment is just not there.
Even Cliff Bleszinski, one of the biggest icons in the industry, said the upfront cost it's just way too much.
Yeah, he has an idea for a game. Overhead's probably $5 million. He's not confident that he can make that back, so he's not going to do it. Yeah. I think that's the challenge for a lot of studios. But the ones, I was talking to Servios, and I was like, you know what? The guys who are left standing at the end of 2017 will be in a very good position because there will be more HMDs at market than ever before, and you have brand awareness. People know raw data. People in the chat were responding to raw data, how great it is.
Right.
And seeing another game from them, I think it's going to be a big deal. No, I don't think VR is dead, but and I even ran an article on the 1 year anniversary of the Vive release, or the Oculus release, that was like 1 year of VR, and it isn't dead yet.
Everyone said it was going to be.
And it was, and everyone, right.
Everyone said it was going to be dead, and we're like, no.
And even today, just talking to Servios, just talking to other devs, a lot of mainstream gaming news sites are dropping coverage of VR. They're like, this is not something we care about.
It was always hard to cover VR too.
It's extremely hard to cover it, because unless you show it to someone, unless they're immersed in it, they're not going to truly understand it.
Today, Trevor did PS4 VTime. One of my friends did PS4 VR for the first time, and he's looking at his phone right now, buying one, because he played Ace Combat 7. He's like, I have to have PSVR now. I have to have it.
It really just takes one magical experience before you're like, okay,
Yeah, and I think even if you don't go out and buy one, it takes one magical experience for you to be like, you know what, there's value in this.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh yeah, just because this guy paid $10,000 for memes that we should stop this entire new canvas for art forms.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where we're at right now. I just think that large companies aren't going to drop a lot of money into it. Clearly E3 has 80% less. It's like materially less, like 1/5 the VR is last year. Even compared to CES, even compared to GDC, there was a lot of VR GDC.
Yeah, there was.
Even Oculus kind of was there. They had a booth at least.
They had a booth. Heck yeah. Does anyone else find it funny that Zuckerberg, basically, essentially, allegedly stole the idea from Facebook and made it his own, and then a couple years later, they have a huge lawsuit about stealing other shit for Oculus after he's acquired it. I see a pattern here a little bit, they just like to steal other people's things and try to make them better.
With the time we have left, I want to steer back to stuff we saw today.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think David's talked
Resident Evil 2.
about what he's seen today.
You didn't see Resident Evil 2 or Mario.
No one saw Resident Evil 2.
You're having a rough E3, bro.
Do you know why no one saw Resident Evil 2?
You know what, Steve? I'm starting to get worried. I'm starting to think it might not be here. I did see, the big thing for me today was I got to play Destiny 2, which is to say, I got to play Destiny. This was actually my first Destiny experience.
You have no
it
basis.
was on PC, and
no basis
that
of
brings me
comparison.
to my point. See, I skipped the first game because no PC, no deal when it comes to first-person shooters. I'll play almost anything else on consoles, platform agnostic, but I grew up playing first-person shooters on keyboard and mouse. It just feels more natural. So I got to sit down and play it on an NVIDIA, and at the end of that experience, I got a GTX 1080 shaped USB drive with a single-player captured footage that will be uploaded into Shacknews.com soon.
You got handed to this guy.
Yeah, I'll hand it to you.
I think Greg has something to say about Destiny 2, actually.
I did a really in-depth interview yesterday about Destiny 2, and I got to say this to anyone in the chat who plays it, who's a veteran. So you lose all your gear.
Yep.
Period. There is you do not get to keep any visual gear at all.
Yeah.
None. Your gear is garbage. So I talked to some people later, they're like, okay, that's fine, not a deal breaker. The second big thing is you will not be able to visit past locations in the first Destiny. You can't go to Jupiter, you can't go to Venus, you can't go to Earth. Those are gone. You cannot visit them ever again.
They blew them up.
Earth
That
is
was
gone.
strike number 2.
Now I'm never going to see Resident Evil 2.
Strike number 2 is three is the project lead confirmed that they have no interest in ever doing ship-to-ship or space battles.
Well, it's a first-person shooter.
It's been
Boots
the
on the
number
ground.
one. It's Bungie, and it's been the number one requested feature they put in since the first Destiny.
They should quit trolling us with the home screen being your ship.
I mean,
What's the point of the ship?
The problem, the problem
it's
with
a load
that
screen.
isn't.
It's a glorified load screen.
The
at
problem
this
with
point.
that, I don't care that much about the ship-to-ship combat, but they made your ship look like a small fighter ship, which is weird.
But I think they're heading toward a disastrous, a controversial launch. Like the first one was controversial. If you're going to build an MMO, why are you getting rid of all this stuff that's already built? Destiny 2 doesn't look any more amazing than Destiny 1. You have all this infrastructure you built and these worlds you created. Use them. Don't just throw them in the garbage.
I think they'll be fine, and I'll tell you why. Like I said, I hadn't played Destiny before today, but I'm a convert. I've never. So I liked Halo. Halo was okay, but it felt too kind of floaty for me, and they did that because you're playing on a controller, so there needs to be a little bit of a give there. But Destiny 2 on PC feels like, I was able to flip the mouse and just spin around. That's my thing. It felt pixel perfect. It felt like any other first-person shooter, but in the best possible way. It didn't feel like kind of floaty Halo controls, which were not my thing. I had a blast playing this.
Here's why I think it's going to be okay. We've got converts like David. We've got millions of Destiny fans who already like the game and are just going to get this because it's more Destiny. And also you've got people like me who liked Destiny okay, but also hit the wall that I was like, okay, at a certain point, this thing's progression ramp gets really grindy and frustrating. And if they fix that, I have no idea if they are, and they aren't really detailing what they're doing to fix it. But if they fix that, I'm in.
You do have people like Kiefer and Craddock, though, that are going to play Destiny for the first time because it's on PC.
Because it's on
Exactly.
PC. I think that's a huge thing.
That's a big deal for him.
But
and
also,
it sounds like it's going to be great on PC.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And the other thing was, I know just kind of through osmosis that Destiny, a lot of people had issue with its story, and that I guess there wasn't really one to speak of.
in that it had no story.
This one did.
What were they called? Grimoire cards?
Yeah.
It does have a story.
It was in the words of
I guess the
Homer
vehicle.
Simpson. It was just a bunch of stuff that happened.
Josh and I used to do dramatic readings of Grimoire cards during our Destiny streams. They're pretty fun.
But you don't think that alienates the user base, David? Like the millions of players that love it? Oh, by the way, you don't get to keep anything you worked so hard for these last 4,000.
I mean,
Go play Destiny 1.
You know what? In
So
most sequels,
frustrating.
I don't get to carry over characters or progress.
But those aren't MMOs.
Yeah,
Destiny
I mean,
is
like,
an MMO.
I
this
can
isn't a
kind of-
subscription-based MMO.
I can kind
It's
of see
still
the problem.
MMO.
I can kind of see both sides here because, on one hand, when they told us that we weren't going to carry anything over, I was like, "Oh, cool! They must be making like fundamental changes. That the game systems are. The game is changing so much that fundamentally you would just not be able to keep your stuff." And that is not the case. They're like looking at the game engine. It is basically the same. There's really no reason you shouldn't be able to. It's a story reason. They establish a story reason to basically just scrap it and start fresh.
Yeah, I can see both sides of this story, but I also think I would feel differently if I'd been paying, X amount of dollars per month to keep this character going and was
Yeah,
told, like,
I
hey,
mean-
all that money you gave us for the last 3-4 years doesn't
Yeah,
mean
I mean,
a thing.
But
if
you were,
if you
though,
bought
in
all of the
microtransactions.
if you bought all of the expansions, I don't know how much that would be, but probably a solid $200 total when you
Right.
count the game
On
cost.
top of the microtransactions they
The
have
micro-
for
if-
cosmetic
well,
pieces?
if you bought microtransactions for currency or dances or whatever, that would be especially frustrating.
How much is an MMO a year? What, like $300? $14.99 a month?
I don't know how much it
times
used
12?
to be. They're
You
all
know,
free to
that's,
play now, but
you know what I mean? Like that's so they get their money back.
I think that's a fair point. I can only speak from my perspective as someone who played Destiny for the first time today and was like, this is fun. I will play this. And also, I would play it. I'm big on certain types of stories in this game. So that said, I wouldn't play this for the story. I would play it because I like the campaign structure. I'm not really into multiplayer. I would probably never play multiplayer.
Yeah.
But they're showing it now. This is the level I played earlier today. It was fun. Things were blowing up. Bullets were fired. I caught fire like that guy.
I mean, here's-
and I used a big sword. Like I had fun. I don't know. It was
my,
fun.
my understanding, and this could be wrong, but based on reporting that I've read, the reason that they started fresh is because not because the game systems for shooting and things like that were fundamentally different, but like the underlying way that they add new content and the way that they iterate on it was changing. And so if this is another Destiny that they had to rip out the guts of so that they could more easily have like a live team put in cool new things to do on a regular basis, and that sort of helps the progression ramp not feel so grindy, then sure, I'm in. That's fine with me.
We interviewed, I interviewed Deej with Donovan earlier today here at the Shack booth. He's the community manager for Destiny. And I was talking to him about how when Destiny 1 came out, I was kind of, I was traveling a lot. There was Oculus Connect. There's a bunch of things happening. It was a September release. And I left and I was like level 4. I came back and all my friends were already like 25. And they had already, like, they had lapped me like 4 times. They didn't want to play with me. They didn't want me on their fire team. And then like I started grinding, and then like I went on another trip. I came back. Everyone was already like, they had light. It was like 200.
light level 350.
And I'm sitting there below 100 still with light. And I'm like, I just could never grind my way to catch up to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate what they're doing with Destiny 2. I want to reset. I don't want to jump in and have like Rumpo and Josh Hawkins like with their ridiculous rigs and then just me like pew pew. You know, like I think it's a good idea to do a fresh start. And you know, I think that's what they're looking for, Greg. They want the people who haven't played Destiny.
The Destiny brand needs a fresh start, I would say.
I think they want people who haven't played this game to play it. And I think that's one way to open the door.
Well, I just think it's such a waste of space to not utilize. Why can't we not go back? Why can't we not go to older planets? Do like Cataclysm, right? They used all the current continents they did.
That's DLC, Greg.
Do it. I mean, just go back. If they do that, it's
That's
going to be
probably what's going to happen.
It's going to segment it. It's like, oh, DLC, you can go back to old places now, but we can go back there before. It's okay. I mean, I get what they're saying, but at the same time, I feel they're alienating.
No, I think that's
a
a
lot
valid.
of their,
I think
a lot
that's
of
a
their
valid.
audience.
I mean, they're gonna split the base no matter. Like, there's gonna be people who prefer Destiny 1 for whatever reason, or can't afford to get the new one right just yet. So
Sure.
there's gonna be people sticking around on it, and I think it's gonna be interesting to watch, like how many people make the switch versus, because we can like look at player counts, you know.
All I'll say to this is Halo 1, great game.
I like
Halo 2, one of the best FPS of all time.
I don't know that big plant.
Hmm?
That big plant at the end. I don't know.
I don't care about the
Are you
story.
just trolling? Are you just trolling,
I don't
David?
even care about the story.
It was kind of a letdown
Resident Evil
because
2.
I'm a campaign guy. I got to the end.
No.
Hey.
No, I don't even. I know everyone loves Master Chief. They love the story. I don't care.
No.
Halo 2 multiplayer was some of the best FPS multiplayer at that time.
A staple of multiplayer. It was.
It modernized multiplayer.
So I feel
It really
like
did.
they're gonna do things here with clans, with the guided gaming that are just gonna make it a much better
I think
experience.
guided games is really smart.
And-
It's like it's a clever way around. Like it's not matchmaking. It's just it's quasi matchmaking.
Yeah.
It's specialized
'Cause
matchmaking.
how often do you got your friends, your 5 friends, you're all gonna do the fire team, you're all ready to go this weekend, and one drops out.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do the raid.
So
This solves that problem. This is something that existed in Destiny 1 that they immediately addressed in Destiny 2. Things like that, I think, are going to add up to this game just being better than Destiny. This is a company that knows how to refine their games. And I'm looking for a similar jump in quality. I'm excited for this because
I'm excited.
between the PC release, and just talking to Deesh today, learning that there's going to be a lot that's different about this game, but at the same time, it's going to be all the things you liked are going to be there.
Sure.
I think that's a fair sacrifice for giving up your loot, Greg.
So David, I want to give you a chance to talk about anything else you played, and then we're gonna quickly hot swap in our intern who also played some games today before we have to get out of here.
I did more interviewing today than seeing games. I think
Destiny most of
was
us
the big
did.
one. Yeah. No, I really liked Destiny 2. That was a big one for me. I was really curious going into it, this being my first Destiny experience, and it felt like. The interesting thing is, to me, it felt like kind of like a blend of the freeform design of the first-person shooter campaigns that Asif and I grew up playing, kind of like Quake and Doom, where you were free to explore, but also there was storytelling going on. There were set pieces.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel kind of railroaded down them.
They made a big effort to
Yeah.
bring story back to this game.
It was
'cause
a
that
fun experience.
That's where it fell flat.
It was
on
one of
its
the
face.
major complaints.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
they listened to the other ones.
Yeah, I don't know. They've done a lot of community fan service.
All right.
So
I'll swap out. I'll bring
yeah.
on the
throw,
intern.
Throw your mic towards him, and yeah,
Fine.
it'll be a dramatic moment. We'll do a slow mo effect. It'll be
We'll
great.
see you, David.
David, come back. Go, Donovan.
So Donovan, you were running around the show floor like a crazy person today.
Of course.
Most of us did a lot of interviews here. You were all over the place. So we only have a little time, but give us some highlights of what you saw today. What did you say?
I got to play Call of Duty World War II this morning. I intended to play Mario, but the line for
Was
that
that a
obnoxious.
campaign demo or a multiplayer demo?
It was multiplayer, and it was actually pretty fun. It was pretty fun. I really haven't enjoyed the last few Call of Duties. I know people are tired of hearing that thing. Everybody's been crapping on those games. But World War II felt really fun. I got into Call of Duty around Call of Duty 2, the World War II games. So it was just really nice to be back in that era. And plus, I kicked butt, so if I'm good at a game, I'm going to like
Humble
it.
brag.
Yeah.
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah.
So, did you see anything else? I know that you were out most of the day. So.
Yeah, got to do that. I got to play some Metal Gear Survive.
Oh yeah.
Coming from Konami.
That weird thing that we don't really have a
Yeah.
total understanding of.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Metal Gear in general, so I didn't really have much coming into this. It was fun. I mean, nothing really stood out. It wasn't bad either. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a fine survival game.
It seemed like they were taking the tech that they developed with Metal Gear 4, Metal Gear 4, and no 5.
Yeah, the Phantom
Yeah,
Pain.
Metal Gear 5, the Phantom Pain, and kind of repurposing it now that Kojima isn't there anymore. They're like, we can still make
Yeah.
another one of these.
Yeah.
But Kojima's whole
Yeah.
thing was like he would basically reboot the series every time he made a new game, and they're not doing that. They're making like another one of those.
Yeah.
You know?
It definitely looked like the Phantom Pain. I didn't get to play much of that game, but I could definitely see the similarities. So.
It sounds like that's coming through in your impressions, where you're like, it was fine.
Yeah.
You don't sound terribly impressed.
Yeah, it was cool. It's not like my standout or game of the show or anything. It was a cool game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Call of Duty.
No.
Call of Duty was good. It wasn't my game of the show either.
Andy won. Yeah. So that always helps.
Yeah.
Anything else you tried out?
The last thing I played was Total War Warhammer 2.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
I'm pumped for that game.
oh really?
We have
Yeah.
them coming by tomorrow.
And as I see, real-time strategy games really aren't my thing. Like I've just never gotten into
Ditto.
them ever.
You're too fast. They're
But-
too fast.
But Total War was pretty fun. It was cool. Like the guy was like right there walking me through like every step, telling me what to do.
And
But it was-
it's slow enough to where you can enjoy it, so you're not macroing a million times like StarCraft, a million miles an hour. Yeah.
And I know
Yeah,
when
it
I
was
saw
pretty
footage
fun.
of the first one, it was like these massive armies. So
Yes,
it
they're
looked
huge.
it looked like a cinematic battle from a movie. You
That's
know?
the point. You're supposed to be able to do shit and enjoy the battle, not be like, because in I keep using StarCraft. Let's face it, it's the most popular one. You're doing a million things at once, and you can't enjoy anything. You're just clicking
My mind
macros
is
and
not
buttons.
there for that.
But these things, like, there's only one guy that has multiple abilities. Everything else is just going to do its thing.
Yeah,
so
it's
you only have
cool.
to manage one guy.
Yeah,
that
throw your
positioning.
dudes at the other dudes and
Yes,
then watch what
exactly.
happens.
And then once the fights have started, there's actually a button you can press and it'll take you down to like a cinematic view, and you can watch the battles from like.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, it's like a cutscene, so it's really neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I'm a huge Warhammer fan, fantasy fan, and I love this game.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's a brilliant like crossover. Total
Right?
War and Warhammer.
Right?
Like that.
Why did it take so long for
That
them to
feels like it
realize
could have
that?
happened years ago.
Yeah.
Greg, you've streamed this before, right?
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
going to again because I'm prepping for this.
Yeah, no, I was a big fan of those streams because it's fun to troll you during them.
I know I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, you are, but I still love you. So yeah, I don't really have any other impressions today.
Yeah, a lot of our day was spent interviewing people, and a couple
Yeah.
of them I'll just plug real quick that I think went really well. Our interview with Ash from Assassin's Creed. He was a really great sport. He was a really fun guy.
He's
Just
a
like
shacker.
That's why he's a really great sport. You have
Yeah.
to be if you're a former shacker. But he told us about how he got his start modding games on Sugar Shack.
Yeah.
He was a Quake modder.
He modded Quake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and now he's in charge of like one of the biggest franchises that exists.
Ass oranges. Some of the finest oranges.
He expertly pivoted away from my questioning about the modern day plot elements, because if you're a game director for a major franchise, you need to be media trained enough to avoid questions like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a ton of interviews up at
content
at
that is going to be
Shacknews.
hitting the site tonight or already has, depending on.
Yeah, I saw another game. It was a hands-off demo, but I saw a demo for Detroit Become Human,
Yeah, sure.
the new David Cage game. And the gimmick with those demos that they've been given, and they did it again this time, is they'll run through the demo twice and just be like, let's make some different choices this time and see what happens. So you were this revolutionary android leader who, when he touches other androids, he can like sort of break the human programming and say like, you're free now, go do whatever you want, So
He breaks Asimov's rules.
yeah, basically he makes them free. There's some extremely unsubtle like racism and apartheid metaphors going on here.
Sure, it's
where
Detroit.
they're wearing.
Have you been to Detroit?
They have to wear special clothing that lets everyone know that they're an android, and they're only allowed in certain areas of the city.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, apartheid. We get it. It's apartheid and
I think
the
they
Holocaust.
picked a perfect
you know?
state for it. It's one of the most segregated cities in America. It's one of the poorest cities in America. I
love you,
think
Detroit.
I love Detroit.
So
I'm just
this
saying,
android
like,
can like
they've had a
this
lot
android
of
is basically
rough
like
years.
building a revolution, So he is the leader of the revolution. So in one of the playthroughs, he made a choice that wasn't very risky. He didn't want to get caught, and it was like, well, if you're the leader and you get caught, the whole revolution could fall apart. So he made a very safe choice. And then they were like, let's run through it again. And in this choice, you broke into a store where they were selling androids, because your partner is like, oh, we're just property to them. It's disgusting, So you broke into the store, freed all of them, and then you were like, let's send a message. And then the rest of it was making choices of like, do we want to send a violent message or a pacifist message? And our crew that was in the room, they were asking us like, do you want to do violent or pacifist? And so we were saying pacifist. They at least claimed that we were like the only group that said pacifist all the way through for like every choice.
I believe it.
So
I believe it.
everybody else was like violent, but like so we were leaving messages of like, androids are equal and not breaking stuff, but like tagging stuff with like hologram graffiti,
Sure.
basically.
So what's the gameplay like?
It's very much like Heavy Rain in that it's controller prompts to sort of make adventure game thing happen, and it's very cinematic.
Yeah.
So that version of the demo ended with you told all your android followers like, you're free, go do what you want, and they went around this corner, and then you heard gunshots and came up and found humans had killed a couple of them, and then one of the androids gave you a gun, he pointed the gun at the person, and then it cuts. So presumably he won't actually kill them if you're playing pacifist, but who knows. So David Cage games are very cinematic, they're very story focused. There's not going to be a lot of story to it, a lot of gameplay to it. The gameplay that was there was like watching this drone fly around in circles and kind of doing a sort of mini puzzle sequence to figure out like how I can use that drone to get on top of this thing.
Drones are so
But-
hot right now.
Yeah, they are. But it's a David Cage game. That's kind of how they are. You sign up for the story.
I mean, the art style is really interesting to me. The setting's really interesting to me. It sounds like the gameplay isn't that interesting.
David Cage games are basically interactive movies
Yeah.
where you can affect the outcome, and you can affect the outcome in some pretty dramatic ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a movie. You're watching a movie.
But like we saw, like a good Until Dawn's a good example. Like that game, the gameplay is very shallow, but the story is very good.
Yeah.
So like if you have a really good story, even if the gameplay is shallow, I mean, people still have a good time.
And he finds actual actors to play these parts. So, you've got in Heavy Rain, you had actual actors in was it Beyond Two Souls? You had actual actors. So that's his bread and butter. We have to wrap up here because they're going to kick us out of here.
Yeah.
But I want to plug tomorrow's live show is going to be. It's not completely indie focused, but I nicknamed it our Indie Day. We've got a lot more indie games. We've got some AAA games peppered in there, but it's a lot more indie games. And we have to do our quick giveaway here, guys. So I'm gonna watch the chat. First person to say we're giving away a T-shirt, some buttons, etc.
Didn't David have a trivia question? He's gone.
Oh, David left. First person to say.
Wait, put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. What? Should I not say it out loud?
I
You put it in the chat then.
I'll just.
Okay, wait, put it in the chat. I'm going to say that all these, there's a lot of videos, content going on. Gamer Hub Videos, youtube.com/gamerhubvideos, which is a subsidiary of Shacknews.
If you like video content, holy
if you
crap,
like video
we've got you
content,
covered.
we have a ton of stuff going up. So, it's me basically interviewing a ton of your games, asking questions. I am a gamer. I do play games, people, not just Pokemon trading card game. I do play other games. So if you guys want to take a look at that, we'll have stuff trickling in all today, all tomorrow.
Yep.
So, and like we're talking big games too, not like a lot of indie stuff.
And then another post show tomorrow, and we might try to do a little extended podcast tomorrow since it's the last day, and we're getting out a little early. So
youtube.com/gamerhubvideos, all one word.
Asif, have you submitted a trivia question?
We got it.
We got a winner.
Mnemonic wins.
Okay, so send a DM to Asif, and we'll get you all squared away.
What was the question?
It was just first person to reply to this phrase. With this phrase, do it for Shacknews wins.
Do it for Shacknews.
And they were quick on the draw. If you watch my streams, I do a lot of these giveaways, and a lot of them are chat based. So
Yeah.
some people who watch the Late Night Army show will have multiple screens going. So they have the Shaq Wiki on one, they have Cleveland Browns trivia on another. It's hilarious how
Dedication.
the meta for Late Night Army is getting pretty deep.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we got a lot of great interviews coming tomorrow. We have more from today. We have stories that we're breaking out from interviews that are great. We had a great interview with Cliff Blazinski yesterday that we really found some great stories in there.
Yep.
And he thinks Quake has better movement than Unreal Tournament.
So chew on that, Chatty.
Just saying, Chatty. Just saying. Just
So
saying.
thanks for watching, everybody. We will be back tomorrow with tons more video content and another post show.
Bye.